Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, it's day 4, night 4 of our week of domestic violence stories. I hope you guys have been enjoying it, and some of you have been coming back every night, and we're so excited. If you are watching from YouTube, please just subscribe to the channel. If you're watching from Facebook, just share it. You don't want anyone to miss out on these stories. And I hope you guys are going back and sharing it after the broadcast and watching it and just being blessed. Well, tonight we have 2 more beautiful women that are here to share their stories. But I first have to let you guys see and meet my co-host, beautiful Carla Bristow.
Hi.
Yes.
Thanks again for having me. It's been a wonderful week. I'm very happy to be here.
I know, and I am so happy to have you. You know, you're going to just become a regular on the Ella Johnson Show. I'm just letting you know. Yeah. I've been enjoying you so much. You keep me in line. Well, I like that. You do.
Soul sisters, Ella.
That's right. That's right. Well, our beautiful women tonight that are going to share their stories and be transparent. Listen, guys, I want you guys to give them some love, show them love, because it's not easy to come on here and share some of the intimate details that you went through when you were being abused. My first guest is Jada. She's Dr. Jada Green. She's a pastor. She's an author of Broken to Heal. She's a survivor, and she's the CEO and founder of Broken to Heal Center. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Dr. Jada.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're a doctor. I love that. It just makes it seem so different when you could put doctor in front. I wonder if that'll work if I put Dr. J. Yeah, could I do that? Is that okay, Carla? It's okay.
Yes.
Welcome, dear. You look beautiful. I'm glad that you were able to come back, because I know we had some technical difficulties the other night and you weren't able to join us, but you were determined to get back to the Ella Johnson Show, and we were just as determined to have you. Well, we also have the beautiful Crystal Timblake. Crystal is a mother. She's a wife. And she was raised in Chicago. She's a public speaker, and she's the author of Boundaries Over Brokenness, a memoir. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Beautiful Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love your show, and I love Carla. I met her a couple months ago, so I'm just so excited to be here with both of you guys.
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, you know what? I hope that we have a wonderful time tonight, guys, because we have to remember that what we're here for is that there are people watching this broadcast that will be encouraged by you guys getting out. So I'm glad that you were able to come to the show and share your story. So I appreciate you guys too. But we're going to start with you, Dr. Jada. Tell us a little bit about Jada. Who is Jada?
Well, just a little bit about who I am now. Now I have.
Yeah, we'll get to the ratchetness later.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about the pastor girl now.
Well, I am the pastor of Broken Hill Women's Center. I have 2 safe haven places here in Moss Point, Mississippi, and 1 in Alabama. I deal with sexual assault victims, rape victims, molested, trauma from children to adults. What else? I'm an author. I am a producer, film writer. I'm actually still in the process of filming my movie, The Awesome Deception. I'm a mother of 4, grandmother of 5, mother of many. I had a lot of adopted children. I am
legally adopted?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I have 7.
Awesome.
Also, I am a pastoral counselor. I have my doctorate degree in psychology. And what else about me? I am a friend, mother, sister, auntie, best friend. And
when you're not preaching, what do you like to do other than helping people? What is something that you like to do?
Fishing and riding my motorcycle.
Fishing? Motorcycle?
Yes.
Girl, listen, okay. All right. Well, I might have to come down to Mississippi and see what you're working with, for real. Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, listen. Talk to us a little bit about the younger Jada, because I'm sure that's where all of the stuff. Girl, listen, I know we have an hour show though.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about you, the younger Jada.
Well, the younger Jada, I used to be a vixen. I was a video vixen. I also danced in a lot of music videos when I started off, probably age of 18.
Okay.
I was also an exotic dancer. I was very popular, you might want to say. I did a lot of private parties for like the executive business, high class, um, and down the line, I became a madam. Didn't know what that was until I didn't realize I was doing it. I had women that was working for me in different states. Um, I was buying houses, cars. At that time, I ended up getting married, and my whole life shifted from
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can imagine.
yes.
So what happened? Tell me about the. Let's talk about your abuser, because
Okay.
that's what we want to talk about. And I want you to feel comfortable. And if
Oh
there's
yeah.
anything that I don't ever want to pressure anybody, but tell
Yeah.
us about your abuser. Who was it?
Well, my abuser, I was actually married off to him at age of 16.
Married off to him as in
Yes.
arranged.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yes. And at that time you have to have parental, signatures. He was military. Um, I think I met him. I was age of 15 at the time. They moved in our neighborhood, and at that time our grandmothers didn't believe in us having company and boys and different things like that. And so I was telling him, no, you can't come over here, and etc. And so as time was moving forward, when I got into high school, he kept pursuing me, and he went to my mother and asked to marry me, and she signed me over to him. Um, at the time, I mean, I wasn't really, I'm 16, I don't really know anything about being a wife, none of that. Um, he was very nice at the time. I was thinking I was in love, like, oh my God, I'm married, blah, blah, blah. And then he started really being forceful with me. Then I tell you to do this and you need to do that. Um, don't do this. And then he'll pull my hair. And then me, a very feisty young lady, like, oh no, I don't do this, different stuff like that. And so he was trying to fight me all the time, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna leave. So at that time we were stationed in Panama City, Florida, Tyndall Air Force Base before they closed down. And then when I left, he came looking for me. And so he had his cousin to call me and met me. At that time, we was in Fairhope, Alabama. His parents and stuff from there. And when I got there to the hotel, I felt kind of weird. Like, oh, I just feel eerie. Like, what you got going on? I'm just thinking maybe he's gonna pull my hair like he normally do, and I was just gonna fight back and leave. But he had a plan to kill me.
Oh,
And at that time, I already had a son. At that time, I think my son had to be 1.5. And I just felt bad. So I was like, I'm going to get ready to go because I don't feel, right about this. So when I was got ready to go, he had put his hand up against the door and he had towels wrapped around his hand. So I guess that wasn't going to leave no DNA. And I kept saying, what's going on with you? He said, well, you left me. He said, but you're going to die. I'm going to kill you, the baby, and myself.
oh,
And I'm like, why are you doing that? And so he pulled the sheets back over the bed where he already had premeditated what he was going to do to me. Had the sheets and stuff cut up. He had a knife, he had a gun. And so my main thing, I was thinking about my son. I'm like, oh my God, my God, he was hitting me, started hitting me in my head. He said, do you understand what I'm telling you? What's going to happen? And I said, just let my son go. I was just wanting to open the door and let him just go outside. Maybe somebody would see it. As a mother, I'm thinking like, oh my God, this man actually finna kill me. So he kept putting a gun in my face. And I was holding my son and I was telling him, please don't kill my son. But the only thing I wasn't concerned about me. I was more concerned about my son dying. And so I was shielding my son as he was punching me in my face. Then he started stabbing me with the scissors and different things like that. Um, and I was still trying to fight him. He was just like in this rage, like he's been drinking. I mean, it's just something I never seen before. And so as I remember, I was trying to grab the lamp from behind the nightstand, but it wouldn't come loose. And so I was trying to fight him back. And at the same time, I was putting my son between my legs to shield him from being, stabbed. And
Oh,
so he was punching me in my face. I was in and out. He was slinging me across the room. He was stepping on me, stepping, kicking me in my face. He had broke my nose. Um, One of my eyeballs was bloody, so I actually have had to have surgery on one of my eyes. Had to get another corneal, all that replaced in my eyes. Um, my head was crushed in the back where he stepped on me. I have plates in the back of my head. And he kept beating me. And then he started raping me at the same time after he done that.
oh,
Feeling him
Jesus.
penetration. I was hearing my son as well crying. And I didn't know if he was, so much blood. I didn't know if it was, that he stabbed him because the way my son was screaming. And I can remember being burned. He was burning me with cigarettes and just like you, I told you weren't gonna leave me. I promise you, you weren't gonna leave me. He said, I love you. How could you leave me? And just like he was in this rage, and I was just in and out of conscience. And my only thing I could feel was my son between me, holding me. And so I was just still trying to call myself thinking I'm fighting, but I was just feeling myself being real weak. And I can feel him burning me, and then he'll stop, and then he'll have sex with me, and then he'll go back to he was tormenting me. He had broke my arm. He was stepping on me, and just like nobody else will ever want you. He said, "You pretty, but you're not going to be pretty anymore because I'm going to kill you." He just kept saying all this stupid stuff to me. I was in and out of conscience. And then I can remember hearing the gun go off. He shot me twice in my stomach.
Oh,
He
oh,
stood over me. Um, Again, I'm thinking I didn't know where my son was, but that was the only thing I was thinking about because my body was burning real bad. And then he got on top of me and started kissing me and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm doing this to you. I'm so sorry." I couldn't see. I really couldn't even think. I was just like in and out. Some things I didn't remember. I could just see him a little bit, just still punching me. He was stepping me on my face. He broke my jawline. And so they had to back here. I had lost all my teeth back here, so it shifted my mouth. My face was still crushed, like right in here in my nose where he stepped on my face. I remember all the marks, like on my hand here, you can see where my bone was out, where he was dragging me through the room. Um, and I'm trying to think because it was so much was going on. I'm just feeling my body burning. And then he was having repeated sex with me back and forth. And next thing I know, I had a rope around my neck where the sheets that he already had cut. He hung me. He was picking me up to hang me from the ceiling thing in the hotel. But evidently I had failed. I guess he had left. The housekeeper found me the next day. Um, and so they was trying to figure out who I was. And they identified me by a tattoo I had just got. I had just got a tattoo. And one of the guys had called in and said, "Hey, I did that tattoo for that young lady." I took a picture of it. And so when they put my picture on the news, people immediately knew who I was. I had people at the hospital that didn't know me. I mean, they looking at me as a Jane Doe young lady, but I was in a coma. I probably was in a coma for about 3 weeks. And then I had, oh, gosh, it was so many people that, I mean, poured out to me. They were just like, "Oh my God, that could have been my child." At that time, I think I was 18, 19. Um, Also, I had COVID twice. I COVID twice.
oh, wow.
And After that, when I came out, they found out that I was pregnant.
So you got pregnant that night
Hmm.
when he was, oh my gosh.
And the baby
Okay.
lived.
Oh,
She lived.
Wow.
we have so many questions, right, Carla? I'm just, I've never been speechless. I am never speechless.
Yes.
But you're telling this story. I know you definitely have had to heal. I
Oh,
know you have had to heal.
yes.
What were you thinking? Did you? I'm sure you thought, I'm gonna die. This is it.
I
Yeah.
did.
What happened to your son? Did he do anything to your son, or he was just screaming because he saw that you were hurting?
Yeah, he was just screaming because he saw me
So
hurt and he
he
hurt me.
he was
Yeah.
okay.
So no. Mm-mm. And he
So
was
now
upset.
what led up to this? Okay, now when you went to the hotel,
Mhm.
what had happened prior to that?
I
Had it
left him.
You had left him, but I mean, as far as the abuse, the beating, was
He
it?
was pulling my hair. He was just real verbal, and just real controlling. And I just was like, mm-mm. And I
So
was the
what?
type of girl like, mm-mm, no, I don't want this. I'm gonna move back. I'm going back home or somewhere. I just left.
So was he trying to? Did he tell you that he wanted to work it out, and that's why you went to the hotel?
Hmm. He said he
Wow.
wanted to talk to me, and he was sorry. He realized that he had mistreated me, and so I wasn't thinking that was the night he was already planning to murder me. Yeah,
Did he go to jail?
yeah. Well, he was in the military. Military sent him to a mental ward for 10 years.
He
Yeah.
was in the military.
Yes.
He
So
went to
that's
mental
why.
ward, but he didn't go to prison.
Mm-mm.
Did they have someone that were able to testify and say that yes, he was mental, and that's what made him do this?
Um, really, I really don't know because at that time I was still healing. I was so broken up still. Let's see. I know they had contained him until military picked him up. That's the only thing I remember.
Now, Carla, why didn't he go to prison? Why wasn't he?
I mean, my mind is blown. I mean, the fact that he's not still in prison till this day. What year was this?
Um, he's out. Was had to be 90, 95.
I mean, that is I cannot even believe. I don't understand how he's not still in prison, or that the fact that he never even went. Um,
He went to jail, but I don't know how long. But I do know after that they had him in a mental ward for a
Is he
while.
out now?
I have seen him since he's been out.
He's out. Girl, oh, gee.
we talk about the justice system. That's exactly. I mean, yeah, that's
So,
not.
have you spoken to him since this happened?
Hmm. Yes.
And what was that conversation like?
Well, I didn't even know how I was going to react to him because I really didn't tell my daughter about what happened until she got grown. I didn't want her to be affected to really what happened between us.
You mean the daughter you got pregnant with that night?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
And she just didn't really know, like, oh, wow. You know, I didn't know how I was going to react because in my thought when I was younger, I'm going to kill you when I see you. That was me. I'm going to get you for hurting me. And that's how my mentality was
Which
for a
is,
while.
I can understand that.
Hmm.
Justified. I can understand that. But
But
you didn't. When you saw him, you had forgiven him.
I felt sorry for him because he
Right.
was like, he was more tormented about me. He was
Yeah.
more of like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that to you. You know, forgive me. He did ask me to forgive him, and I did. But I have nothing for you though.
Now, I was watching you on a different show, and you said something about how you ended up in Monroeville, and Monroeville is my hometown. And when I heard that, I'm not like cheesing over Monroeville for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But to know that you were there at some point, how did that happen? How did you end up in Monroeville?
I was dating. I was actually an officer that was end up. We moved up there. My ex husband was an officer there, and it was interesting.
It was an officer. Now, I have a lot of questions because there's a lot of cricket officers up there. Just saying.
Exactly. Yes,
Was
ma'am.
he one of them?
Yes, ma'am. He started from Mobile and brought it up there, and they was trying to shut me up.
When you say officer, are you talking about police officer, or he was a police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me his name. Never mind. I'm just thinking.
We
I
will
couldn't
talk.
resist. I couldn't resist. I know you're not going to tell me his name.
Oh, we'll talk.
But
But
anyway, so what happened with that one?
it was just a lot of crookedness going on. A lot of embezzlement of money, pulling people over with warrants, just a lot of scamming. And so at that time, I was working as a private investigator. And I'm like, you going out your district and your area, what's going on? It just didn't seem right. So I started following. I actually bugged their police car.
You bugged it?
But you are my kind of woman. I love
You know how to do, wait a minute. Girl, I wish I could mute this. You know how to do that?
Yes.
I'm just saying, we
Because I did
definitely need to
private
talk.
investigating
Oh
myself.
Lord,
And,
forgive me in my older years for wanting to be. Yeah, well, hey, is it against? It's against the law, right, to bug someone? Yeah,
well,
real
at that
talk.
time, it was my personal thing, and they
Okay,
told they told me I was going to be in trouble. But I told them I work for me. I don't work for you, and you was outside your district, so it doesn't matter. I know the law.
wow. So I remember you saying something about the church even tried to get you to be silent. What was that all about?
They told me I don't supposed to talk what goes on in the church or behind my closed doors. I supposed to be quiet. And I'm not. I didn't grow up in church with all this secretive stuff, and so I told the lady, the first lady, you can't tell me anything.
What
Not
were
when
they
it comes
trying
to
to
my
get you to
mouth,
be? What were they trying to get you to be silent about?
because they knew what was the crookedness going on and all the secret women and the babies in the church and the scamming of money and different things like
Wait
that.
a minute, this happened in Monroeville?
Hmm.
Oh yes, you coming back on the show, baby.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we got to talk about
It
that.
hit news.
Carla, she is hitting a nerve, girl.
It hit
Because I
news.
just did a broadcast about Monroeville and Just Mercy. Because that movie was based out of Monroeville, and we did a show about that. So
you.
you're
Yeah,
giving me some information that I had no idea about. Was he abusive also?
No.
Oh, he
Hmm.
wasn't. So the way he comes into the story is the fact that he was just crooked. Yeah,
Yes. And demonic.
and demonic.
Yes.
Jesus.
They had a satanic church at night. They was worshiping the devil. I never experienced nothing like it. I never seen nothing like it unless it was on TV until I came up there to Monroe, Alabama. Um, the church was in Frisco City, and I went there. I suppose when they was having supposed to been having Bible study, and I'm too like this kind of strange. We don't have Bible study on this night, and so when I walked in, I can see them sitting around, and it just freaked me out so bad. I urinated all over myself because I was so freaked out about it. And they had the candles and all the freaky crazy stuff that they do, and they were so in tune and they didn't even see me there. And I was taking pictures, and I called another lady in the church, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Did you know this?" And when he came home, I think they kind of knew I was there, so they started threatening me, different things like that. So when I went to the police station about it, after they came in my house, it was kind of strange the way the police officer and the chief was acting with me at the time, and I was like, okay, they know something about this. And so I went on the outside skirt of them, and I started bugging everything. As long as anything that he brought in my house, I bugged everything, and so that's how I sent it back to um, down to internal affairs in Mobile so they can get it. Yes, ma'am. I'm like,
You are
you
amazing. You are bold. You are a bad woman. Listen, my kind of girl.
gonna let that happen to me again. Whatever happened, everybody was gonna know if anything happened to me.
So, I mean, you
So,
went from abuse to this type of relationship.
mhm.
So, how was that? I mean, at this point, what were you feeling?
I learned more wise. I was very wise about it. I'm glad I had friends. People already was in law enforcement anyway that I knew because of them, and in different places because at that time I'm already ministering and I had a property preservation real estate business, and so I knew a lot of people, and I start reaching out like, look, this is what's going on. I'm showing you the evidence. I need some help. Can you reach out to your people? So at that time, I planned on leaving. I left my house I had just bought. I had my sister to come up there, and I told her whatever we can fit in the car, we're gonna fit in the car, and the rest is gonna go. I don't care. Left everything. It didn't matter. It
It
didn't matter
sounds
to
like
me.
it seems like that's something that abused people that are when they're ready to get out, they'll leave if it's with nothing but the shirt on their back.
Yes.
I've heard that.
Yes.
So you've escaped the guy who abused you. You've escaped the crooked guy. And
Mhm.
now what? Where are you at this point?
I am now. I'm a business broker now. I have a home in Moss Point. I just sold another house I had. I'm out of Tampa, Florida. Our office is in Tampa,
Okay, so
Florida.
we have to do lunch because I'm in
Yeah,
Orlando, right down the street. Cool.
yes. And I am just living ministry and I travel. I do all type of things now and just loving me and helping others.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. All right, Miss Crystal, talk to
Yeah.
us about your abuser. I don't. We're not trying to have a competition on who had the worst guy. That's definitely not what we're doing. But tell us about your abuser. Who abused you?
Yes. First of all, I want to acknowledge Dr. Jada Green and say, my God, you are a testimony. You are a living
Yes, she
testimony.
is.
God is so good. Like, he's just so good. So I just wanted to say that. And you're right. It's not about who had the worst abuser. In fact, I always tell people, like, it's not about comparing your abuse, because if God wanted us all to have the same story, he would have gave us all the same story. That's just not what he
Yeah,
wanted. So my
absolutely.
abuser, I actually met when I was 17 years old. And for a long time, I wish I would have left him at the gas station where I met him. Like, you could have just stayed where you were.
Oh my goodness. He picked you up at the gas station.
He did. And my sister, who is 17 years older than me, was just like, you can leave her alone. Like, she was trying to like shut it down. And I was just like, oh, you're embarrassing me. Like, I'm 17 years old, we think we know everything. But I could have
What?
used that statement at the time.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
but when I first met him, we exchanged numbers, and then he dropped off the face of the earth. I didn't even hear from him for like 3 months. And he reached back out to me, and I forgot all about him. All we did was exchange numbers. But anywho, he hounded me for a couple of weeks to finally go out on a date with him. And he was the perfect gentleman. Like, he did all the right things, opening car doors, buying flowers, escorting you from the house to the house, all the things. He was the perfect gentleman. Like, there was like no red flags, except for that was the red flag.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Um, and
understand.
we went on a couple of dates together. At the time, I was actually dating someone else. And so I kind of kept him on the back burner. For one, he ghosted me for like 3 months. So like, you're already in the hole, like, you got to redeem yourself. At least that's
Right.
the game that I was playing back then.
Yeah.
But when I really realized that something was off was when I had a birthday coming up. I was turning 18, and I had already had plans with my friends in Chicago. We lived at the time in Northwestern Indiana, and he was an Indiana boy and I was a Chicago girl. Like, all of my friends were in Chicago. I just happened to be geographically located in Northwestern Indiana at the time. So he had a fit. He didn't want me to go out with my friends, and I said that this was my plan before you came along, so I'm going to continue with my plan. It's my 18th birthday, and who are you to tell me what I should and should not do? So went out with my friends. That entire night, he blowed my phone up all night, calling, texting. It was a late night for me, and I was pretty intoxicated when I got home, so I didn't even reach out to him till the afternoon the next day. And even when I called him, he demanded to see me right away. So I got myself together. He came to pick me up from the house. I told him we could just hang out as a late birthday, whatever, since he didn't get to spend my actual birthday with me. And at the time, he asked me what I did and who I was with. And his main question was, were there other guys there? And I was like, well, yeah, there was. Again, we're nothing official. We just had a couple
Right.
dates.
Right.
And he asked if I got another guy's number. And I said, yeah, I did. Again, we're not official. And it doesn't really matter. I felt like I didn't have anything to lie about. Well, that escalated. He wanted to see my phone. And when I wouldn't let him see my phone, he hit me for the first time. Now, back then, I was feisty. So like Dr. J, I'm like, I'm going to fight you back. Like, you're not going to put your hands on me. So we began to tussle. At this point, we were at some friend's house of his. I don't know. I wasn't familiar with the area of Indiana because I hadn't been there long enough. So I didn't even know where I was. I was very far away from my sister's house where I lived, and I wasn't sure how I was going to get home because he drove me to this location. It was late at night, and we had been fighting. So I had decided that I wasn't going to deal with this. So I walked out of the place where we were, this apartment or whatever. And I walked to a local gas station where he eventually found me. And I was waiting on a cab. I think I was waiting on a cab to go back to my sister's house. And he came to convince me to go back and stay the night with him, and that he was sorry and he would never hit me again. He just really liked me. And he was hurt that I would get someone else's number.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I only had on a little jacket because, again, I was a little teeny bopper and I wanted to be cute. And it was February. It was cold.
Knowing you were cold, yeah.
It was cold.
Been there, done that. Yes.
So I never wanted to make a scene. That was always my thing back in the day. I just wanted to like slide across the horizon. I don't want to make a scene. So I did. I got back in the car with him and I went back to the place, and I believed him. I believed that he wasn't going to hit me anymore. But the night, oh my God, it was the longest night of my life because we did fight again. But this time I decided that I was just going to stay up. He had been drinking and smoking, and I was like, okay, he got to pass out eventually. But I wasn't going to go to sleep because I wasn't sure that I was going to make it through the night. So I literally watched him sleep all night long. And then the morning came and he acted like nothing even happened.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was so crazy. It was the most bizarre thing. And he was just like, oh, I'm so in love with you. You're so beautiful. I just want to be with you. Are you going to make this official? Because again, we hadn't made anything official. Then we went across the street to his mother's house. And he wanted to take a shower. And I'm like, I'm not taking a shower here. You can take a shower here. And we began to fight. And then at that point, we were at the top of the stairs and he tried to hit me or something or another. I ended up at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
So there we were fighting again for, I don't even know, the fourth time in less than 24 hours. And I just wanted to go home. Like, I was embarrassed. Not because of what was happening, but I knew I had to go home with these bruises. I had bruises around my neck. I had a scuff, a carpet rug or whatever on my forehead. And I had bruises on my arms and my legs. And it was just not good. I had never been in a domestic violence situation. I had never seen it growing up. So I wasn't quite sure what was happening.
Right.
I think I was just confused and I just wanted to go where I knew I would be safe.
Right.
So he did end up taking me home, but then again, it was the same thing. Later on the day, he acted like it never even happened and he was sorry. And this cycle repeated itself over and over and over again. So after that, my birthday, I actually distanced myself from him. I stopped answering his calls. He would park and sit outside my sister's house and just wait for me to come out to my car. He would come up to my job. It was just crazy. He was calling my phone, texting, all the things. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I promise I won't hurt you. All of the little things that they say to get you back in their good graces. And I ignored him for a couple of months because I was afraid. And I didn't know if I could believe him or if I shouldn't. I think my gut told me I shouldn't, but my heart was just like, maybe he didn't mean it,
Yeah.
Maybe he can be forgiven. And because I had never seen this happen before and I never seen anybody go through this, I just wasn't sure. But I also wasn't telling anybody what happened to me. My sister was like, what happened to your head? She wasn't want to be all up in my business, but she definitely noticed that something was wrong with my face.
Right.
And I was just like, nothing. And she didn't press me on the issues at all. She's just like, whatever. I was just like, I ran into a wall. That's what I told her. That's what came to my mind. So I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I didn't know what I was going through. And eventually I did accept his, I forgive, I apologize and I forgave him and I went back and eventually I agreed to be a committed relationship with you. But here is the thing, you guys. The day we decided to make it official. He said to me, I go crazy about my girls. So if you're gonna be mine, you're gonna be mine. And again, I'm young. I'm thinking, okay, yep, whatever. But he was dead serious. Like he was dead serious. And even to this day, if I would have just taken heed of the words that came out of his mouth, I could have saved myself years of trauma
Right.
and abuse.
Right.
But I didn't know any better, and I agreed to be his girlfriend. I trusted that he wasn't going to do that again, and it only got worse from there.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? What could he have done? I mean, he's beating you constantly. So what else did he do to you?
So there was a lot of physical abuse. There was a lot of emotional abuse, gaslighting, verbal abuse. The isolation phase happened pretty early on because as a part of me being his girl, that meant that I couldn't see any of my old friends anymore. He had something wrong with every person I knew in my life. Even if I was going to visit my grandparents back in Chicago, he'd think I was visiting someone else. So I became isolated from all of my friends and family. And I think about maybe 4 to 6 months into the relationship, he had made up in his mind that he was going to drive me in my car to this park location and put me in my trunk and set the car on fire. His intent that day was to scare me, maybe, I think, because he didn't kill me, obviously. But he did put me in the trunk, and he did have gasoline and a lighter, and he was ready to set my car on fire. And I couldn't understand, like, what did I do to you to make you feel so badly about me that you want to kill me? Just return me to my sister. That's just return me back.
Just take me back. Yeah.
And it sounds so crazy to say something like that, but I'm like, I don't even understand. Of course, at the time, all he did was accuse me of cheating. During this time, there was no cheating going on, not on my behalf, anyways. But he was just always so angry. He always wanted to see my phone. Every little thing I did, I couldn't say anything right. I couldn't do anything right. And that was the first, outside of physical abuse, that was the first big thing that happened. Another time, he locked me in his bedroom when his mother was home and was beating me to a pulp. And his mother actually had to, she asked him several times to unlock the door because she couldn't get in. And on the third time, I think she said, if you don't stop or open his door, I'm going to have to call the cops on you. So she ended up calling the cops on him that day.
Good for her. Yeah. I was hoping you weren't going to tell me she didn't call the cops, but I'm glad of that. That's good.
Yes, she did. She did call the cops, and they came and he went to jail. And he wasn't in there long. He got out, and I actually had to go and testify about what happened because the officers took the pictures or whatever. And of course, there's a mandatory restraining order that was put in place, like because of the incident. And of course, we show up to the courtroom, or I show up to the courtroom, and he's waiting for me, and he's trying to like coach me on what to say once we enter the courtroom. It was just the most bizarre thing. Even in the courtroom, he sits next to me. And I'm saying an emphasis on this because they are so bold in what they do. It's just audacious. Like, that you can go to jail for even standing next to me. And yet you're going to coach me and then sit next to me until you wait for our names to be called. But anywho, I got up in the stand and I told them that I was not afraid and that they should drop the charges. Because
what?
Yes. So
I was just getting ready to say, you go. What? You told them you weren't afraid?
Wow. That I wasn't afraid for my life and that they should drop the charges. So when the judge asked me, he says, Mrs. Austin, this was my pre-married name. He said, Mrs. Austin, are you afraid for your life? And I said, no, sir. Just like this. You probably didn't even hear me. And he's like, Mrs. Austin, speak up. But I didn't want to lie, but I was afraid on what was going to happen if I told the truth. So I just said, Yes. So I'm like, no, sir. And then he says, would you like the press charges against Mr. So and so? And I said, no, sir, because again, I was afraid that he was going to kill me if I put him back in jail. So we left court. They dismissed the order of protection. They dropped all the charges, and we went on like life was usual. We were still physically fighting all the time. And then he got an apartment, and the same thing happened all over again, where he was beating me to a pulp, and he actually asked me to move into this apartment because I said, I'm happy you're getting your own apartment, but I'm just gonna stay with my sister, right? And he's like, no, you my girl, you need to be at the house with me. And we would always fight because he knew that I was a great cook, because I was always cooking and, taking care of my nieces and nephews, but I could never bring myself to cook for him. Like, I just never even felt comfortable. I just couldn't. My body physically wouldn't even allow me to cook a meal for him. And so we would always get into fights about that. And he would leave me there while he went to work, and I would just stay in bed all day. I go to work, but the times that I was there, I would just stay in bed. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't drink. I wouldn't do anything. Like I was,
Wow.
It was like a hostage situation, but he wasn't literally holding a gun to my head. I just didn't know what to do. Yes.
It was all here. Yeah.
Yes. So, we were there for like however long, 6 or 9 months or something. And he ended up going to jail for something else, and he lost his apartment. And it was the stupidest thing. But you know what? Just like a narcissist, he blamed me for going into jail. He says, I did what I did because I wanted to buy you things. I needed to get money for you. And I'm just like, I never even asked you for anything. So obviously he was out stealing and whatnot, and he got time for that. So this relationship, he had went to jail several times, some because of the domestic violence and some not. But during this time, his mother took me in, and he didn't know. She asked me to promise not to say anything to him because he would get livid that she was still helping me. So I was staying with his mother. I went back to school. Got my degree. He was angry about that because I would still talk to him. He was angry that I went back to school and got a degree. He was angry about me not putting money on his books. He was just angry about not knowing, because he would send letters to his mother's house, and his mother would bring them to me, even though I was there. And it was just a toxic situation. So I ended up getting my own place later on, fast forward down the line, and he had been in jail for something else at the time. And I never gave him my address. I never told him I moved, but I believe he found, well, that's okay. Before he got out of jail, I was seeing this other guy, and this other guy, I broke it off with him after having an abortion, and this guy was very upset with me. So he sent a copy of the ultrasound to my sister and this abuser's mother. So he found the ultrasound, found my address, showed up to my house, and we began to fight about this. Now, he thought that the ultrasound was to a pregnancy of this church kid that he always accused me of dating, which I did date this church kid. That's a whole other story. You guys, my life is a mess, or my life was a mess. So we began to fight about that.
We've all been there in some way or another. We've all had some stuff. So yeah.
Yes. So we began to fight about this ultrasound, and he's, going off and carrying on, talking about this should have been his baby, and, how dare I have a baby by somebody else, and all these things. And he was determined. He said I was never, ever going to be able to carry another kid. That was his intent. And in the midst of him trying to make it so that I could never carry another kid, he almost killed me. At this point, we had been in this on again, off again relationship for 3 years. And I had already been getting towards my wit's end, but I never had the strength to stay away long enough to for him not to come back. But I was on my apartment floor. There was nobody there to save me. There was nobody there to hear me scream. And he was choking me and punching me and stomping in my stomach, stomping on my face, all of these things. And, I think I went unconscious, or I did go unconscious for I don't know how long. And I remember just praying to God, because my life was just the pits back then. I remember saying, God, just take me now, like, please. And I think I went over to the other side, or I went somewhere that wasn't where I was getting beat and whatever. And I started to smile. I'm unconscious, but I started to smile. And the next thing I know, I opened my eyes a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, so you think this is funny?" And he begins to go in on me even harder, like even harder. And it was just that moment where I said, "Okay, God, I asked you to take me. You showed me the light, but you didn't take me over to the other side." He said, "You're gonna have to sit in this for a minute." And then I realized that this was on me to clean up my life. It was either I was going to choose life, or I was going to choose
Amen.
death.
That's right.
And I realized that after he came to, because here's the thing, when he would go into these rages, he was a different person. There was like a glossy effect that came over his eyes. He was not the person who he was when he was not in these raging moments. And it wasn't drugs, because he wasn't high, he wasn't drunk, he was completely sober in most of these situations, which made it even more weird, which now in my present day, I realized that I was dealing with a demonic spirit within him.
Right.
It wasn't him himself.
Right.
But anywho, he got off of me. Once again, he apologized. He said he was sorry. The thing is, he wasn't even supposed to be at my house. He was living in this halfway house at the time. And now they had let him out for whatever. And he got this window of time. He was outside of his window of time. So now he was AWOL. And he was like, "Let me use your phone so I can call a ride." And I just tossed him my phone because I just wanted him out of my house. He couldn't get a ride. So I said, "Come on, let's go. I'm going to take you back to the place, this halfway house." And I drove him back to the halfway house. It was the most silent car ride in the history of them. But I had this overwhelming sense of peace. I think my soul man knew that I was done. Though my heart wasn't completely out of it. He did end up having to go back into the penitentiary or whatever, because of his violation of the halfway house. And he sent a couple letters, and I think I sent one letter back, and I didn't even write a whole letter. It was like 2 sentences. I said, "If you cannot respect me and stop calling me out my name, I'm done." And I had been saying this for a long time, but it was that whole little 2, 3, 6-page letter that they always requested. Yep. And then the next letter that I got from him was when I was actually moving out of my apartment, and my mom, who has schizophrenia, had just went off on me because she was upset that she wasn't no longer going to be able to stay with me because I had to leave my apartment. I got a letter from him. I had checked the mailbox from last time, and it said, "Be something, something." It was just like the first line. I folded the letter back up, put it back in the envelope, and put it in the trash, which the trash went out with the dumpster. And that was the last time for real for me. And I had reached out to my dad in Minnesota, which is where I live now. And I said, "I need to leave. I need to leave the Chicago area. If you just give me 3 months, I'll be out of your hair, but I need to leave." And that was the end of it. I moved to Minnesota and got my life together.
Wow. Wow. Carla. Oh my God. Okay. You both of you, your stories were very similar because you both said something that caught my attention. You said that it was something that came over them. They were different.
Evil.
So
yeah.
Because I mean, you said, Crystal, that he wasn't under the influence of anything. He wasn't drunk, he wasn't high, nothing, but he just unleashed on you. Now, did he prevent you from being able to have kids?
No, he didn't.
Thank God for that. Thank God for that. So how were you feeling when you were going through? I mean, because you had an opportunity, and I understand why you said what you said at that courthouse. when you said that you felt I'm surprised that the state didn't pick it up, Carla.
I didn't know that part of your story, Crystal, and that I did not know that. And a lot of the state to state laws have now changed. Like in South Carolina, I think it is as early as like 2010, maybe. It's now domestic violence is the state actually charges the offender, and the victim no longer has a say. And so like, when I went for the very first time, and called the police, and we actually went, the judge was like, don't look at her, don't speak to her. You know, we both had to show up separately. And I ultimately, I did end up dropping those felony charges to leave the state of South Carolina. But it is different state to state. And it blows my mind that that's even still an issue.
Oh,
That's crazy that's even an issue, that you guys can walk in together, and even your tone, the way that you're holding yourself, presenting yourself, your mannerisms aren't screaming out to a judge to say something's not right.
didn't he have a restraining order against him?
Yeah, so like Carla said, it was mandatory. The state put one out,
But it's typically only what? Like here, it's like 10 days. That's it.
10
Ours
days?
was actually 2 years.
Oh gosh, I did not.
Yep. And
But
because
he
I
was sitting
said that
next to you? Oh my goodness.
he was standing next to me, and just because I said I was okay and I wasn't afraid, they dropped all the charges. We were literally up there for like less than 5 minutes. I mean, the most time we've spent up there was when they read through all of like the whole whatever they got to say before you can actually start talking. Yeah.
Do you guys think that the system, what part of the system needs to change? What part needs to change the most?
I mean, both of y'all, Crystal, Dr. Jada, like both of your stories. I mean, the system failed.
Yes.
Just across the board.
Yes.
Constantly.
It did. Both of you.
The system failed. I mean,
yeah.
Everything from when a police officer shows up to victims advocates. That is, to me, so most jurisdictions have maybe 2 victims advocates, and those advocates are responsible for domestic violence victims, victims of crime, child victims, elderly victims. They're responsible for every victim in the sense. Theft victims, like a victim's advocate in every single jurisdiction, and there's only typically maybe 2. There needs to be advocates for every single sector of a crime. You have family law for children, you have criminal law. I mean, every court needs very specific victims advocates, and because they are trained to recognize exactly that. I think that is one huge issue. Is that there are no checks and balances in the court system.
Right.
The judge going, all right, cool. I got 34 more cases to hear today, and it's about 11 o'clock, and I'd like to go to lunch. That is literally the mentality of a lot of these judges. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a victim's advocate there with you, go, no. You don't talk to her. You don't look at her. You don't speak to her. You don't walk in with her. This
Absolutely.
is right now of your restraining order, and you need to step back.
Okay, you're hired.
We
need to put you in the courtroom. I mean, really. Girl, do your thing. I love it.
It makes me so angry.
I know it does. Mm-hmm. Being a victim, a victim of domestic violence yourself. So, okay. All right. So where are both of these guys now? I know with you, Jada, you said that he is out.
He actually got a daughter. He's actually just had a baby. By a young lady. Yes.
Well, we'll pray for her.
Yes.
We will pray for her. What about and your guy, Crystal? Where is he?
So he's still back in the hometown, doing the same thing. In and out of jail. I don't know if he's still abusing girls, but I do know that there was girls that were abused before me. So I'm guessing, some people never change. I haven't seen him But I do know that he's still around. And I'm very careful when I go back home because my family still resides in the same city where he's from, and still frequent the same areas. It's like a little 5 mile radius. So it's
Right.
easy to run into somebody at a grocery store or a gas station. So I'm just very intentional not to make too many stops. It's a real in and out for me when I go.
Now, both of you ladies, we have people that are probably watching this broadcast that are in this type of situation. Both of you take just a second or two, and well, you're going to need longer than a second. What would you say to those women that are still there? Start with you, Dr. Jada.
Well, like I tell the ones that I deal with now, call somebody, reach out to someone. Even when you're scared, just go ahead and make you a plan, even if you don't really know what it is. Um, I have, I get it all the time. I get it in my inbox here, especially on the coast of Mississippi that I'm at. I didn't even know that many. I meet these women out the area, and then I also work with the law enforcement here. I get women from out of town. I tell them, I don't care, reach out to someone because we have a lot of advocates here. Even if somebody out of town, some of them will come get you. I have also volunteers that will open their doors for you. Just
Wow.
go. Even if you don't know what else to do, just go. I don't care if you don't have a job. I don't care if you don't have no education. Your life means everything. I
Amen.
tell them, inbox me. I don't care if you in Pennsylvania. I know someone that will take you in some state because we all network. Um, you don't be a punching bag. Love you enough. And I tell them, dream again. Your life is not over,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
not your fault.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Jada, I'm going to tell you, the other night, I thought about it and I really think that this should happen. You know how back in the slavery times and there was the Underground Railroad? I think it would be really, it's something to think about to have some type of underground operation for abused women. Like you said, and it's similar to what you just said because you have networks in other states. And that's exactly what they did in the Underground Railroad. They would go so far, this person would take care of them. They would go this far, and it confuses the abuser to the point to where they're tired of looking because they don't know where you are. And now it would have to be something that whoever put this underground operation together, you have to have people you can trust. You got to make sure. And I know you'll find that because you're a PI, Dr. Jada, and you'll make sure that we're getting good quality people, I'm sure. But I think it's something because we have to, the system is not going to help it. I'm convinced of that. Everyone I've interviewed this week for domestic violence, it has seems to be the same situation. The system failed them. So obviously we're going to have to come up with our own system.
Create our own
And
system.
oh yeah, and I think an underground operation. I really would love to see something like that. And all people have to do is, no matter what state you're in, there's someone in that state that knows this operation, and it's underground, meaning that they'll end up in a place that's undisclosed. Because I know Carla was telling me that they have a place, no one knows the address. They just tell you how to get there, but there's no address. It's nothing on record. And I would do it where they would get there and you can't leave because all it's going to take is for someone to follow you. Now we're caught.
That's
So
right.
I really think it would be good. But you go ahead to Crystal and tell everyone what you think they should do.
Yes. First, I want to tell anybody who's in that situation that you are so worthy. I think that when we're in the midst of our situations, we feel like no one cares, no one loves us, it won't even matter. And I want you to know that you're worthy. Second thing I want to tell people is that a lot of times we look at abuse and we try to compare situations. So I've heard people say, well, he's not hitting me, so maybe it's not that bad. Or, they always try to, maybe it's not that bad. He doesn't hit me all the time. Or he's just like Dr. Jada said, he's just pulling my hair right now, and
Wow.
it's always a natural progression of the action that we can't always see at the time. So it is so important to take heed of these things in the beginning before they get worse. But it all starts with you knowing that you are worthy and you are
Yes.
valued, and there is somebody out there who can help you. And I myself, as a victim going through, I never thought of myself as a domestic violence victim. I never even thought that that was a thing. That was the furthest thing from my mind. I just was like, oh, me and my boyfriend, we fight a lot. That was it, minimizing the situation
Wow.
Yes.
from what it
Wow.
was. So it's important that we bring awareness to it, because there may be several thousand women out there, millions of women who don't even know that they're in the domestic violence relationship. And some people think of domestic violence as only physical abuse. It's not only physical abuse. So it's important that we educate and just be an open door. When people come to our inboxes, just, be there, listen. Sometimes they just need somebody to listen. I teach a lot of people, family and friends, how they should handle people who are in domestic violence relationships, because I
Very good
think
idea. I like that.
they don't actually know, and they just say, you know what, if you want to be dumb, right? And then they just talk you out, and that is the last thing as a victim
Yeah.
that you need. But you also don't need somebody who's going to continue to criticize you and remind you of how dumb you are. They just need somebody that's going to love them and that's going to be there when they're ready to go.
Right.
I think that's so important that you say that, Crystal, because um, I really like that what you just said, because they don't understand why women don't leave, and
Mhm.
so when they start giving you advice, it comes off as negative, because it's like, well, are you not tired of somebody beating you upside your head? That, like you said, and you're stuck, and they don't understand unless you go through it. And that's why I like this advocacy that you guys have going on in shows like this, because it helps people that are watching that have never been in it, like myself. We know how to deal with people when we run across it. We're not so judgmental. We're not so putting you down. You're already getting that, and you don't need that again. So I appreciate you for saying that. I think that's really good. I really do. What do you think, Carla? Because I mean, your situation was
You
something
know,
else.
it's
I mean,
it's funny because Crystal and I know each other. We've done work together. We talk a good bit. We have chats with other women a lot, and we are starting to form this underground,
I love it. Yes.
and we
Good.
definitely have that, and we do. We work with women all over the country, and we have this support group. It's a private group. It's only word of mouth. We don't share information about it. And, so if anyone is interested in these groups, we're growing this group to have more of them. And it's all, um, you know, um, Zoom based, computer based. And so you don't actually have to physically go anywhere. So if anyone is interested in that and being a part of that, please let us know. And Crystal or I can hook you up with that. But we do work with these women, and we're like, okay, we need to find someone in this city or this city, or figuring out the laws and the statutes and the victims' rights, and trying to find local shelters and trying to find local legal access. That is our biggest issue right now, is finding attorneys that are willing to take on these cases and willing to take them on pro bono and willing to really do the work. That's the biggest thing, because every single domestic violence victim, they're not only physically abused, but they are also financially abused. And so every single thing they have is ripped away from them. So that is one thing that is so important, is finding legal access for these women and attorneys that are actually going to help. So that is something that we are currently working on. We are trying to get a list of different groups, different organizations, different nonprofits in all the major cities across the US, and just trying to figure out, when we do have people contact us, where we can send them, and trying to learn as many laws as we possibly can, because state to state, family law is so different state to state. Some of this is
Right.
law, some of it is criminal law. It really depends on the state that you're in. But it doesn't matter what state you're in, the justice system sucks. So there isn't one state right now in the United States that is doing this correctly. Not one.
Well,
So
she said it. She
Yes.
said it right here on the Ella Johnson Show. The
And
justice
it's like
system sucks.
stuff.
And I think that was eloquently said. Thank you. But I agree with you though, Carla, because and I think that that's going to be the biggest challenge because you know the women are fighting these men. They shouldn't have to fight the system
Right.
too.
Right.
And you know, I was ignorant to a lot of this. I really was. I mean, you ladies, all of you guests this week have taught me a lot because I had no idea that we were failing this poorly in the justice system protecting. Because we're always talking about call the 1-800 abuse hotline and call the cops. And then we met Melanie once who said that her daughter called the cops. She was finally doing the right thing, and they let him out on a PR bond, and he killed her. He stabbed her 20 times in the stomach, y'all, and killed this baby. She was what, 20, 21, 22 years old or something?
22 years old, I think.
And then Latoya Wells, she had been going to the police and she had been telling them, he's going to kill my baby. He's going to kill my baby. And he
We are
did.
so sick of these stories. And that is what
I'm
we are.
telling you.
It is so disgusting and heartbreaking because it is so preventable. And
Right.
it's just they walk in and out of jail and as if nothing, and then like Crystal said, they come right back as if nothing ever happened. And you know, and you're like, did I am I the crazy one? Is this normal? Like what in the world is going on here? And but no, there's a lot of work to be done, and that's my hope for this week is that people can see how much work needs to be done, and that is you know, we can't scream it any louder. So if you know,
Well, you know, we're getting a lot of comments from different people. I just want to thank you guys for commenting because these women need the support, you know, to know that you guys are heroes. Like you're doing something that a lot of people wish they could do. So with that being said, I want everyone that's watching this broadcast. Tomorrow's our final night of this domestic violence week. If you are watching, whether you have been abused, if you just want to come on and encourage people, pray for people, whatever you want to do, and you want to be on our final night broadcast, please inbox me and let me know, and I can send you the link. Now, we can only have so many on at one time, but I want us to shout it out loud. If you're mad, come on and put it out there. If you want to plea out to the police or lawyers or anybody, and you know someone that's watching that you can get them to watch, let them tune in tomorrow night because we need all the help we can get. Now, Carla and I were talking about like the Night Purple event that Raymond Miller is going to have in September. We're going to go to that. So I want to encourage you ladies to go to that also. When this is over, I'll probably do a video and bring in all of the guests and show, you know, something as a reminder of this week and what we all talked about. But I am just so impressed with you ladies. I'm impressed with you, Carla, the strength that you ladies have. I mean, it's one thing to go through the abuse, but it's another thing to not be afraid to say it. And I think you were right, Crystal, because I think that, like you said that it was hard to even say that you were domestic violent. You were in domestic, but you were like, no, we just, you know, he trips sometimes, but it's not domestic violence.
right.
It's not all that deep. There are people that are saying that right now. No, it is domestic violence. He's isolating you. That's domestic violence. It's mental abuse. Whatever he's doing that it doesn't feel right. Because some people, they know it doesn't feel right, but they're just like, I'm not that weak.
Right.
I'm not that weak to let a man hit on me, girl. No, I said stuff to him. They lie and say what they did when they know they didn't. They hide the black eyes. Like, you know, you lied about your black eyes, and I'm sure everyone on this broadcast and this week lied about some black eyes and some busted lips, you know. But I mean, what is the one thing that who's your hero? That's what I want to know. Who is someone that helped pull you through? I know all of us, you know, have a relationship with God, but I'm talking about people that were here day to day that you had to deal with, Jada and Crystal. Who was it that was your hero?
Well, with me, it was a lady in my neighborhood. Her name was Miss Sampy, and she used to allow me to come to her house, and sometimes I get through the window or different things like that. I call her my hero. I still talk to her to this day because she was just like a mother to me.
Wow.
And also, I'm so thankful for you allowing me on here. I'm actually getting two calls now that I'm going to have to go.
No, okay, yeah. Go take care of things because we'll talk again. We'll definitely talk again. You're in Tampa, so we'll do lunch and we'll do some things together. So yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do, sweetie. Thank you so much for being on the show. Okay, bye. All right, so all right, let's see here. Ooh, child, I don't want to be that close, baby. Woo, I can see the line on my lashes, baby. No, let's pull this thing. Let's spread it out a little bit. I mean, I'm just saying. He went away and it was like in your face. Listen, I see I see you, Tommy. Tommy was on the show last night. He said he lied for sure. Yeah, I think that's a common thing. You know, we lie because I understand the shame and they make you feel ashamed and they tell you that you're stupid and all this kind of stuff. Well, it's a lie. You're not stupid. Anybody that's watching this broadcast, you know, I I want to make sure that we're doing something here that's going to effect change in the way this system handles domestic violence cases. That
Mhm.
is what the purpose of this broadcast is. If it
Mhm.
changes someone's mind, if you're in
Mhm.
it and you're like, you know what, I watched the Ella Johnson show for the entire week and I'm getting out of this, know that you have somewhere to go. If you need the phone number for anybody on this broadcast, I can get it to you. I can get it to you. I know Miss Dr. Jada was giving me her phone number right here on the private chat that we have. So anyone that needs her number, you know, because she bugs people. You know, I'm with that. Maybe not for domestic violence, but some other issues, Carla. You know, I mean, I'm just girl. You know, I'm way too real. But I mean, we have to be each other's keeper, and that's why I don't like a lot of bickering amongst women because we are all going through something. And we don't have time to sit here and well, this and that. You don't know what this woman is going through. You
Mhm.
know, when you finally come through your storm and now you're surviving, let's celebrate with you. Don't hate. You got a book, let me buy it. I'm gonna get the books for everybody that was on the show this week. I'm gonna make sure that every single one of you get the Ella Johnson Show t-shirts. So we're gonna keep this thing going. We did it this week, but we're gonna keep this going because this is a topic that we just need to keep talking about.
Yeah.
So, what would
Yes.
you like to say, Crystal, before we get out of here?
Yes. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a second to answer your question about who is my hero.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot, girl. I'm glad you have to stop me.
It's
We want
okay.
to know.
I totally understand. So, initially, it's two people. My grandfather was my number one hero in my life. And actually, I lost him 3 weeks after I decided to be done with my abuser. And honestly, if it weren't for him reminding me that I was beautiful and worthy, I probably would have never even had the little ounce of courage that I had because I literally didn't have much to be done. But ultimately, who was holding my hand? And this is going to blow you guys away. The abuser's mother. She was a saving grace for me. As I mentioned
Wow.
earlier, my mother had schizophrenia. So at 14, she was no longer taking care of me. I had no guardian, period. um, so his mother, she was definitely there every step of the way, and she was always very fair. She wanted to protect her son, but she wanted to protect me also. And I respect her. I still talk to her to this day. She blessed my soul in ways that she would never know, and I'd never be able to repay her for everything she's done for me.
Wow. That's some now, you know, I the reason I'm so glad you shared that, Crystal, is because most people assume the worst. That's her son. He's going to protect her, but she's also a woman. And
Mhm.
she understood what you were going through. What's her name? Can you say her name?
Um,
No. Well, you don't
I
have to say her
probably
name.
better not
But
say her.
whoever you are, if you're watching, thank you so much. Because you
Yes,
know what? That's real love right there. Because
yes.
I know she was torn. She had
Mhm,
to be. That's her son. But
mhm.
she also and you talked about your mom, the schizophrenia, and I'm sorry about that. How I don't want to just gloss over that like I didn't hear it. I did hear that, and I think that's hurtful. You didn't have anything to do with that, you know, but at 14 she was no longer able to take care of you. How was
Mhm.
that? Do you think that played a role in where you ended up accepting this abuse from this guy?
Yes, absolutely. If you have a minute, I'll just quickly bring you
Definitely.
up to speed.
Yeah.
So as a young child, my mom had always suffered from the schizophrenia disease. It just wasn't officially diagnosed until like I was in, I don't know, 12 or something, or maybe even a little bit younger. But as I was growing up, I was sexually molested by a family member. Now, this was something that I never spoke of ever until about 4 years ago. So that was happening. My mom didn't know. I was raped by a guy with my best friend setting me up. My father was absent. Him and my mom were married, but he just left abruptly. He left when I was 3. So I was dealing with daddy issues. I was dealing with sexual molestation that went on for about 10 years. At the age of 12, I was taken away from my mother and went with my aunt. And my aunt was a working class American. And she sent me to this family member's house for the summer just for childcare until she was able to get childcare for me, because she was taking in a kid. She didn't have any young kids like myself. And the molestation continued through that whole like 10 or 12 week series. I never spoke of it. I always felt like speaking about my own problems was a burden, because my mom, she was a mess. I mean, she was always a mess. She could barely keep a roof over our head. So I call the domestic violence situation the icing on the cake, if you will, because when you really think about trauma and abuse, certain things that you attract into your life is not by happen chance. Like, it didn't just happen. It was a series of things that led me to attract this kind of a person. And I was already broken when I attracted him. And it was through my vulnerability that allowed me to fall suit to all of his little tactics, the like, oh, he's so nice to me, like when you've never been treated well, if you never experienced this kind of love, if you will, you think that you're special. This person is making you feel special. So you start to accept things that are not normal. And that is what led me into that relationship. So when I got out of that relationship, I knew that in order for me to break the cycle of toxicity, I had to fix me first. I think as people, we don't want to believe that we are the toxic ones, not because we want to be toxic, but because of everything you've gone through that you haven't actually healed from. So
Good point.
So that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Carla, talk.
Crystal, just so everybody knows, Crystal she coaches people. She's a life coach. She coaches people. She has all these amazing programs. And this is why, because you are like sitting here today with so much grace and just beauty in your soul. And, I'm always reading everything that you're doing. And I'm lucky enough to know you on a different platform than just this. So, I mean, it takes women like you every single day standing up and going, okay, this is the how, the when, the why, the who, and this is how we actually fix it. Mm-hmm. And break this generational cycle that so many women fall into every single day. And that to me is the most important thing. I know that you have a child, and it's like you are like setting this total groundbreaking, structure for his life to say, okay, this is what a family looks like. This is what a mother looks like. This is what stability, structure, love, grace, kindness, faith, all of these things, this is what it looks like. And and it takes everyone doing that. And when you figure that out about yourself, that is when the healing happens. And that's when, the trauma, the little pieces of it, you start to let go of it. And it's, that's what really saves your life.
Yes.
Crystal, I saw that when you responded to my assistant about the schizophrenia, about the molestation. And here I was thinking that I didn't want to bring that up because I like to protect my guests too. It's not just about this show for me. It's bigger than that. But you were brave and you brought that up because there could be people. I have run across women that are my age that are now coming out with stuff that happened to them as a child. where a family member touched them, a family member raped them or molested them. And you, in all of your beauty and God's glory, you came here today and you brought that out. Now, I'm going to assume that God led you to do that because someone is watching this broadcast. You didn't have to do that, but you did, which tells me two things. God is working and you're free, because you can only do that if you're free.
Yes.
Did you ever expose this person that did that to you?
I did, actually. 4 years ago, I called his mother up because we're cousins, and her child, we were both children at the time. I told her, these are the things that happened to me. And his mother, she attacked me over the phone, of course, saying that he never did this to any of the other girl cousins, and no one else has ever said this, so I must be lying. And I said, you know what? I'm coming to you with grace, because I could just tell the entire family that this happened, but I'm coming to you. Like, she was the first person I told. And, she told me that I was a liar and that I must have wanted this, and that, I must have been the one coming on to him. These were her words. And she's a school teacher. Like, she's been a teacher in school, like grade school, for like 20 plus years.
Wow.
And I say that to say that after I let her talk, I had already healed through this. So I was at a point where nothing she could say could change what I felt. And I said to her, as a woman who holds so much respect from so many young girls, I hope that you never say to them what you said to me. Because that is why so many people never speak out about what they've gone through, because they're afraid of being accused or not believed. And I'm just so grateful for God's mercy, because I didn't been through hell and back. So I took
literally
years.
You have. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I haven't even shared the whole, all of my life on here, and you can see a little glimpse into it. But yes, it was. I told her, and then after I told her, I actually last summer, because I wrote a memoir, as you mentioned at the beginning of this video, and this story is in the book. So at that time, I called up my aunt, who took me in for that time when my mom was no longer able to care for me. We were living on the streets, and my aunt took me in. And my aunt sent me over to this cousin's house where the abuse continued for that time. I had to call her and tell her, because I wanted her to know that this wasn't her fault. And I didn't tell her because I already felt like a burden. She was taking me in. She gave me a place to stay. She was feeding me, clothing me, getting me in school, doing what she could for me. And I didn't want to be a burden. So that's why I never said anything. But I didn't want her to take it personal, because people do. They take it personal. So I had to have a conversation with my aunt before the book came out, because I wanted her to hear from me first before she read it in the book. And I've just been free. I haven't told any of the other family members, because I don't feel like is not, I mean, if they read my book, they'll know. They may figure it out. I mean, I did protect everybody's names, but they may figure it out if, they read close enough into it. But it wasn't something that I was looking for justice or something to come from it. I was literally just freeing myself. Because here's the thing, I say to people that all of that time, I think I was 26 at the time, all of that time, I was protecting my cousin who had done this to me, and his family, the integrity, the respect that they have. And in me protecting him, I was losing myself. So I always tell people, don't ever protect someone else at the cost of yourself. Don't ever do that. So I just wanted to free myself from it. I had done the healing, but it was still something that was just nagging within me, because I had never said anything. Now, here's the funny thing, you guys. I found out last summer that this same person who was doing that to me is now a full-blown schizophrenic as well. So obviously there's generational strongholds with mental illness in my family. And I'm not saying he got what he deserved, But I do know when I told his mom about it, he like was going off on me and all of these things. And I was just like, oh my word, like what is happening, you know? But then to find out, you know, just a couple of years later that he's mentally ill. And I believe that all things happen in God defines timing. It wasn't for me to get revenge. This isn't about revenge.
Yes.
This is about trusting the process and knowing that
Yes.
God can take
Yes.
something that was meant for evil
Yes.
and make it
And
for
turn
your
it for
good.
good. Amen. What men mean for evil, God means it for your good. Absolutely. I could just sit here and listen to you all night. I mean, you and Jada have truly blessed me today, and I as well as the guests. I would love for you to come back tomorrow because we're going to wrap up the show the week, and I would love for you to come back. We're going to bring Jennifer, and we're going to have Tess. We're gonna have a full house tomorrow, and we want to bring on guests and visitors, anybody that wants to be a part of the broadcast, even if you just come on the screen for a second and just speak to our survivors and just, whatever you can do, we're going to finish it off tomorrow. But I am just you're just a beautiful person inside and out, Crystal. I've watched your page. I've watched all the stuff you're doing. And I love your voice because you're just so pleasant.
She's so calm.
She's so calm.
Thank you.
Like, it's very difficult for anyone to be upset around you, because you have the peace of God and it's coming through. I mean, even when you were telling what happened to you, I was affected by it because I have some personal stuff too with that type of thing. And you're just so brave. And I just wish and pray that everyone got something out of this broadcast. And I hope you guys that are watching are getting something out of this week because it was just meant to be good. But we're going to wrap it up tonight. Co-host, would you like to say anything before we go?
I just, again, I'm just so thankful that you are having us all here to even say what we need to say and bring awareness. And anyone listening, again, if you have any questions, if you're curious, if you're in a domestic violence relationship, you can reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to Ella, Crystal. Please reach out. Please
Somebody.
reach out to somebody.
Please. Yeah. Yes.
And we will walk you through it. We'll walk you through it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, we're going to say goodnight and we'll see you all right here again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Ella Johnson Show, Facebook and YouTube Live. You guys all have a wonderful evening and thank you so much again for watching. Good night, everybody.
Good night.